Like I said, it's school holidays at the moment, and Noah, my Down syndrome, I always say he's a toddler. He's actually 5 years old, but he's got a mental age of a 12 to 18 month. He's in the other room watching his show. He's a little bit unsettled. Took me a while to settle him. I haven't actually really settled him, uh, in all honesty. Crunchy, thanks for hosting. Hopefully he'll be all right for a little bit. Otherwise, like I said, we're gonna try and keep this session fairly short. Again, for all those who are watching elsewhere apart from Twitch, this streams basically this is primarily for my Twitch audience, but I'm also using a service to push it out via YouTube and Facebook and Periscope as well. So if you're watching on any of the other platforms, the likelihood is that I won't be able to monitor the your messages, your questions, and all that coming in. All right. So your best bet would be to hop over to Twitch if you've got any questions at all, or if you want to enter your name into any of the giveaways that I'm regularly dishing out. Right. So my Twitch URL is just twitch.tv/JackieMFood. Alternatively, you can just you can just type in www.JackieMLive, and that will take you to my Twitch page as well. All right. So we're making, hopefully, we'll see how it turns out. It's a little bit of a fridge clear out thing again. You can tell I'm still sick, but I've got a lot of food in my fridge that I'm trying to clear out. And some of the food is actually food that I cooked up in for a series of videos that I've made in collaboration with Ziegler and Brown, which is a barbecue unit. All right, a range of barbecue appliances. So over over the last weekend, I shot a bunch of videos of basically barbecue recipes, and by their nature, they're predominantly red meat recipes to this point in time. So I've got all this red meat sitting in my fridge that I'm not generally inclined to eat a lot of red meat myself. So I'm trying to be a little bit creative in how to use them up, okay? So this looks a little bit sad, but this was actually, this is obviously refrigerated, and it looks, dry and all that, but it did start out as a piece of grilled steak, okay? That was sliced up. It's for a dish called Crying Tiger, which is a Thai grilled meat, and all they had on it was soy sauce and pepper. Okay, so essentially, as far as I'm concerned, it's still fairly uncontaminated by other flavors. But there's so much of it that I think I might try, because it's still quite rare, right? I think I might actually try and cut it into thinner strips, and then cook up a different dish with it. It's what's called crispy Peking beef. Okay, so it'll be a little bit interesting. It's a little bit of a compromise, obviously, because this is already cooked meat, essentially cooked rare steak. I'm gonna try and thinly cut into strips, and hopefully it doesn't fall apart too much. And then I'm gonna drench it in some egg and some flour, and then I'm going to was Nightbot working? Okay, crispy. Okay. Crunchy, you always show up and then you disappear after 2 minutes, because you've been missing all the giveaways because of that. Because let me just cut this up, because I've got these giveaways, right? By the way, guys, I've always got a number of giveaways on offer, right? The next major giveaway is when I hit 1900 followers on Twitch. I'm about the 36 shorts at the moment at last count. I mean, it fluctuates a little bit, but when I hit 1900 followers, I will be giving away a Rode microphone, right? And also before that, I have some, I'll show you these here. I've got 10 sets of these, all right, courtesy of Ayam Australia. Ayam is a manufacturer and distributor of these Asian sauces. I've got 10 packs of these to give away. The only caveat with the Ayam range is that the giveaways will only be sent out to a New South Wales address, all right? That's why I mentioned you, Crunchy. because you're like one of my New South Wales regulars. I know a lot of you are watching this overseas. The Rode microphone, no geographic limitation, okay? And a lot of these limitations that are imposed are really because of the logistics of shipping things internationally, okay? And I also have some Lenovo mini speakers to give away, which I've been doling out for a while. Give away now, not bothered. Plus, my parents get angry if we get packaged without any knowledge of it. You've got strange parents. But I've got a couple of barbecues courtesy of Ziegler and Brown, right? The Ziggy barbecue that I've been creating content for. Basically, in exchange for all my work creating all these content, all these recipes for the Ziggy barbecue, Asian barbecue recipes, they've offered me 2 Ziggy barbecues to my audience, right? So this again will be available to my Twitch audience. And all you have to do is follow me on Twitch, right? Your name will enter in the draw. And with the Ziegler and Brown barbecue, the caveat is that the shipping is only Australia-wide, okay? So obviously it doesn't make sense to send a huge barbecue across the pond anywhere apart from Australia, okay? So these are some of the exciting giveaways I've got in store for you guys. And in the meantime, I'm just slicing up this beef. Ideally, I would have liked it thinner. If you've had these crispy shredded beef at your local Chinese restaurant, it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure. I don't know how authentically Chinese it is. It's kind of like you know, like eating lemon chicken or sweet and sour pork or something like that. I don't eat pork, but you get the idea. But it's a fairly sweet dish, essentially, is what it is. But usually at Chinese restaurants, you'll find these strips of really thin strips of beef that have been fried to a crisp, right? And then they're drenched in this kind of like a sweet and sour coated sauce. So that's what we're going to attempt now. And I have to refer to the recipe because in all honesty, I've only really made this once in the past. I did post a recipe on my website. So any of the recipes that you see me attempt, crunchy, see what I mean? See you bummer. So what I've done, what I do with all the live streams with my recipes, they all either are already at my website, it's jackiem.com.au, or they will be at some point, okay? For this particular recipe today, it is already on my website, so go over to jackiem.com.au and just do a search there on my homepage for Peking beef, really is what it's called. Okay, so I've got this over here, and we're just gonna toss this in the egg, right? Usually I think they would say egg white, but I'm not particularly pedantic about this sort of stuff. Okay, so we're just going to toss this in the egg, right? And also I used tapioca flour in the past. I don't actually have any tapioca flour lying around today, so I'm going to use cornstarch for a change. I always diss cornstarch because I always say tapioca starch is better than cornstarch, but for whatever reason I keep forgetting to top up on my tapioca starch. So I have potato starch. But potato starch, I noticed in the last time I used it live here, it behaves a little bit differently. All right, so I'm going to hold off on using potato starch. I'm going to use cornstarch. Let me have a dig around for it. Okay, and like I said, you know that I've been sick for a couple of weeks, so I'm a little bit. My voice is still a little bit dodgy, and also I'm a bit sniffly as well. So there's some cornstarch. It's years old, all right? Just a testament to the fact that I rarely use it. And it's sitting in just a shopping bag. It's kind of sad, but hopefully it will do the trick for us. Okay, and you put a bit of salt through this as well. But we're gonna toss this. Okay, let me just grab some salt and just add to the flavor a little bit. You know what? I've got some rice flour. I might actually add some rice flour to this. Here we go. Okay, so a little bit of salt. and a bit of rice flour. And you're wondering what about the donation goal over there. That was actually a request by some of my audience specifically. I don't usually. I've been live streaming for several months now on Twitch. You know, I've never actually put up any like wish list or any donation requests or anything like that. But that was specifically requested by some of my audience who say that the microphone that I'm using right now, which is great, is courtesy of Rode Australia. It's a directional microphone, so when I turn around, they can't hear me speak, okay? So they want me to be able to wear a wireless headset while I'm streaming so that they can hear me when I duck into the kitchen to grab some stuff, which I sometimes do. So that's what it is, okay? So we're aiming to generate enough donations over the next couple of months for me to be able to replace my microphone, but we'll see how we go, okay? So I'm just mixing this through here. And also, before I go on any further, just a shout out to both Rode Australia for the microphone that I do use right now, and also to Lenovo Australia as well for the laptops that I use for my live streaming. I'm using a Lenovo IdeaPad Y700 for my live streaming, and also I'm using other Lenovo products as well to monitor the chat and to monitor my Facebook feed and all that sort of stuff. All right, so let's bring this over. I've got this oil here that's heating up on this stinky little stove. Okay, we'll see if this turns out. And if it does, we'll do the rest of that steak. Okay, before it dies on me, because like I said, it's been sitting in the fridge for a few days. But again, we're fighting Noah's temperament at the moment. He was wanting to go out to the park just before we went live on air, and obviously it's not feasible. I mean, first of all, it's quite cold outside, but also because I'm going live on air. But we'd been out earlier today anyway, but he's just being a little bit fussy. He's being too spoiled, because I took him to the park the other day, because like I said, it's school holidays at the moment. Okay, I might have to bring him out shortly. Okay, so I've got a carrot over here. I'm going to just shred thinly as well, okay? So let's do this. And then, never mind the part that he wanted to climb on top of this table as well, so he's just being a little bit of a monkey. Hey, Sia Whiskey, how you doing? And Andre, how you doing? Sia Whiskey, by the way, I bought that. I don't know if you remember, we talked about this. I'll show you what I got yesterday. Oops. Okay, because you recommended this, because remember a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, I was stuffing around with this arm thing that I mounted my iPad on, and I had a problem with it because I realized that it would only hold the iPad in portrait mode, and then you suggested that you sent a link to this Amazon product. No, actually you mentioned the brand, all right? And I bought it, and there you go, it arrived yesterday, and it's fantastic. I'm so happy with it, so thanks for that. Okay, so this is just, did I arrive in the beginning of the stream this time? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But I'm going to have to keep this fairly short because Noah's really unsettled. He's grumpy because I didn't take him to the park. He decided, like right before we went live, that he wanted to go to the park, and I know because he basically grabbed his shoes and socks and just sat by the front door. That's how he communicates because he's nonverbal. Okay, that might be enough carrots. Okay, let me just go and grab him. He's just... Okay, baby, come. Noe, come. Hey, little monkey. Little monkey, little monkey. Here he comes. And yeah, first thing he does is shut all the doors. I'm having trouble seeing my chat at the moment. Oh shoot, I'm just very, very conscious of it. Okay, so I've got the beef that's been shredded, okay. Keep in mind, like I said, this is not like ideal, okay. This is actually cooked, leftover cooked steak that I'm trying to use up. and it's rare steak, and it had been like marinated in some soy sauce and some pepper before I grilled it for this cooking video that I did for the Ziegler and Brown barbecue. It's my collaboration with Ziegler and Brown, creating content around Asian barbecue recipes in exchange for the barbecue units that they've offered, well, that they've given me first of all, and also that they've offered to my audience as well as giveaways. So for whatever reason, see, I told you not to touch, you little monkey. Hey, told you not to touch. See, I told you not to touch. You have to touch everything, hey? You have to touch everything. Okay. Andrea, how you doing? I am still not 100%, as you can tell. My voice is really bad, and also I am staying up all night coughing. So the coughing is really annoying. So maybe I should have listened to you about your your natural fixes. I promise you, I tried everything. I tried the honey, I tried the salt gargle, you know, salt water gargle, and I tried all kinds of stuff, and I am still not well. So the problem is, like, I mean, like, you know, as far as like headaches and stuff like that, they're manageable now with like just some ibuprofen, but the coughing will not go away, and I've gone through nearly 2 bottles of different strength stuff now from the chemist, and they are not as good as they claim to be at the chemist. I mean, they're supposed to be so strong that you're only meant to take 5 mils of it, like, which is 1 teaspoon, you know. Every, like, you know, and you're supposed to take, apparently the latest one I got, you're supposed to only take 1 teaspoon of it before you go to bed, and apparently it's so strong that it will stifle your coughs and also knock you out, right? No, it did not. So I've been kind of like guzzling on that all day, and because I stayed up all night coughing, I've had very, very little sleep, so I'm operating on very minimal fuel at the moment. Okay, so we want to fry this up till you see the oil start to the bubbling start to dissipate, and then we can dish it out. I'm just going to grab a sieve. Okay, no, you come at Mama. You come at Mama. Here we go. Here we go. So again, this was like actually when the video gets released, you'll see what I mean. All right. So this is actually the beef from a video I shot for a recipe called Crying Tiger, which is a Thai grilled beef dish that is usually served with a hot sauce. Okay. So all it was seasoned with was some pepper and some soy sauce, and then it was grilled, and it was quite rare. So after I shot the video, I didn't really feel like eating it, so I kept it in the fridge for a few days, and I figured I might just try and like salvage it by cooking it in a different recipe. Okay. Eight. Gentle. And usually this beef, like at Asian restaurants, they're cut very, very thinly, in fact, and they're drenched in so much batter that you can barely even recognize that there's any meat in between all the fried batter, right? But I've just roughly cut up the steak. And no, no. I'll give you another one. Here you go. Give you another one. Give you another one. Here you go. Let's have a look. Here you go. Noe, you want this one? Yeah, good boy. Good boy. No, you don't want it. I'm trying to get. He likes spinning things, and I'm trying to convince him that spinning a plastic bowl is less disruptive than spinning a metal one. Oh, hey! No, 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 silly monkey. Okay. Hey Remy, how you doing? Mods, I added a warn command for people who are scared to ban people immediately. Okay, cool, no worries. Whatever. I trust your judgment. Okay. Here you go. So I don't know how this beef will turn out because, like I said, it's actually already cooked. Okay. But hopefully it'll taste okay. Okay. So this is what it looks like here. It's not as crispy as I would like. But usually you would want to fry it till it completely like crisps up, okay? And you can tell by the behavior of the oil when it stops bubbling. One day is your first and final warning. Do again, and it's kind of bad for you. Okay, taste-wise it's fine. It tastes very tender actually. And then once we coated it in the sauce, you know, it should work really well. No, don't touch, okay? Don't touch. You gonna sit down? You gonna sit over here? Yeah, good boy. Yeah, good boy. Yeah. Hey, are you a good boy? Are you a good boy? That's good. I order this a lot at Asian when I go to Chinese restaurants, right? But this is almost like a guilty pleasure thing. We Asians always make fun of white people who order things like sweet and sour pork and lemon chicken. But I don't think, flavor-wise, this isn't too dissimilar to that, alright? So it's kind of like a sweet and soury, kind of like almost like candied, crispy meat. But because it's got the word Peking in it. Hi Lynx, how you doing? Has anyone seen any good movies lately? What did I watch the other day? I watched Wonder Woman on YouTube. I think I might have told some of you. But after all that hype, I kind of expected it to be really mind-blowingly good. But it was, maybe I'm just too old for superhero movies, But they all seem like the same old nowadays. Sweet and sour chicken, did you say? Yeah, sweet and sour. All the sweet and sour and lemon chicken kind dishes that are very kind of like they're not real Asian food, not real Chinese food. They're like what suburban white people order. But this crispy shredded beef, like Peking beef is what it's called, crispy shredded Peking beef or something like that. And I love it, and it's really it's just sweet and just full of batter and whatever. So I don't know if you actually get this in Peking or whether it's just something that they made up. I've never been to China, not like you, Highlands. You've been to China, you might know. Okay, so we want to fry this again till the oil stops bubbling, basically. So again, if you're just joining me, this is actually just leftover beef. Not really, it's actually cooked beef. All right, so this is actually some grilled steak over here for last weekend, more technically last Friday actually. I spent the whole day filming a number of videos for my Ziegler and Brown barbecue that I mentioned I was going to give away. So the other I haven't done edited videos for the longest time, and it's tricky when you're trying to do all this on the balcony, right? And then you're trying to keep the flies out, obviously, because Sydney, it's warm, and you're trying to make everything look good, and you've got different cameras and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of the camera stuff, I thought it would be easier just to have like an overhead like webcam sort of mounted on this pole, right? And that way you can see me like cut up stuff and then it will just like point straight down. And unfortunately, after a whole day of filming, on playback, I realized in a lot of these overhead shots, you can see part of my head, okay? And that is so annoying. So some of the video clips you'll see, like, yeah, where I'm chopping things, you can actually see like, yeah, my really odd haircut. Yeah, hopefully the people at Ziegler and Brown aren't too bothered by it. But I found a video editor on Fiverr, and she's fabulous. The can I do this with chicken? Yeah. I actually, the last time I did this, I did it with chicken, and I actually said, you know, in all honesty, this isn't something like that's part of my regular repertoire. I had to, because I like eating this at Chinese restaurants. I thought I'll just Google it and find out how to make it. Checked out some YouTube videos and stuff like that. And technically, you're meant to cut the meat on the grain, not against the grain, because like if it's against the grain, that it might just kind of like crumble when you cut it into really, really thin strips. And I did that with the chicken when I did it, and I found it was actually too tough. So go cut it against the grain. But we'll get some crispy salmon skin. Oh, I love salmon skin though. Yeah. Let's say raw whale meat tastes like fresh raw beef, but with the texture of raw tuna. Okay. It tastes like beef, but with the texture of tuna. That's interesting. Visit Japan, but keep in mind it's considered a poor person's meat. What whale meat is? Isn't there like all this controversy about like whale fishing, like with the Japanese? I thought it's highly like valued. That's why they fish for whales. I didn't realize it's considered like a poor man's food. Okay, so that's the beef, right? This is just from one piece of steak, about 150 grams worth. Okay, like I said, it was like a rare grilled steak for this video I shot. But obviously, ideally, you would use raw meat. Okay, so I've got some shredded carrot over here, which we're gonna now fry up. Okay, I think I've got too much carrot, but it doesn't matter. Oh, look at the smoke. I hope I don't trigger the smoke alarm. There's a lot of smoke. I'm just gonna open up the sliding door. Sea whiskey, yeah, whale meat is looked down on by many in Japan, while most people eat it in school luncheons. Really? Really cheap sushi place. I had no idea. Oh wow, that's crazy. So they only eat it raw, or like? My brother is in Japan at the moment. I don't know if he still is, with his wife, and they posted a picture of beef sashimi or beef sushi or something like that, and apparently it tastes delicious. But I don't know. I struggle with the thought of eating raw beef. I wouldn't eat a blue whale, but a minka has never been in danger. Is that right? Okay. Cooked usually for school lunches. Okay. Never went to a Japanese school, so that's based on people from Japan I talked to. Okay. Right. How interesting. Do you speak Japanese, Sea Whiskey? I've like let my degree, my university degree is in foreign languages, you know, so I like to kind of like, I go through like stages, I go through phases where I kind of feel like, oh, I really should brush up on all these languages that I studied all these years ago, so I'll pull up an app or whatever and do a few exercises, but I've just been so slack. And also I would fluctuate from one language to the other. But I was trying to actually brush up on Mandarin up until up until I got sick, basically. So I was listening to all this Mandarin conversational practice tapes. Well, not tapes, obviously, you know. I'm very old school. I still call them tapes, cassettes. But since I got sick, I just haven't like been able, obviously, you know, because conversational, you're meant to kind of like repeat the you know, the exercises. But when I lost my voice, I couldn't do that, and since then it's just been waylaid. But I'm the sort of person who when I'm driving in the car, and I drive quite a lot because of taking Noah to school and back, and also for my market and all that. I drive like, you know, easy. Some days I can spend 4 hours driving. I feel really unproductive if I'm just listening to some random podcast or something like that. I feel like I need to listen to something that's actually educational in one way or another. So I've felt like really like slack since I was sick and still had to drive, because I was just listening to like really useless podcasts filled with useless information. Okay, look, that's shrunk so much. So so that was the right amount of carrots after all. So what we want to do now is actually tip out the oil, or in fact I might actually just switch out the pan with another one. Okay, so I should probably fry this a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Did my gas just run out? Yes, it did too. Okay, I'm just going to have to replace the gas canister. Cassettes, number 2 pencil, yeah. Pretty rusty with Japanese. Forgot most of my Spanish, remember enough French to get by in Paris. Oh, pretty cool. You deep fried carrot shavings? Yes, I did. That's right. So it's shrunk to nothing, really. Okay, so this is off. Well, the bubbles started dissipating, so I thought they were ready, but in fact it was because my gas canister had actually run out of gas. Let me move. Okay, I'm a little bit wary of Noah being around with all this stuff. Okay, let me just move this around the back. Okay, I tipped most of the oil into a different pan, so there's a little bit of residual like carrots in here. So we're going to use the same pan. And as far as the sauce, it's going to be a combination of hoisin sauce, lemon juice, some ketchup, and some sugar. And I'm just going to look up quickly and see if I've missed anything. Okay, where are we? Sesame seeds, I need some garlic and some chilies, and some green onion or spring onion. But that is it. Okay, so lemon juice or vinegar would work as well. So let me just grab them. Okay, I just got the only thing I'm missing is the chili. So Mum, you're fright. Okay, so I've just got this chili here. I think this is actually quite hot, so I'm not going to use too much of it, just in case Noah decides he likes to eat it. Okay, so I've just got like a few snips of it, and green onion or spring onion. I went through this phase where I was calling these green onion because I mentioned to you guys that I was ambassador for this summer fruit festival where I liaised with a lot of fruit and vegetable distributors, and they told me that these are meant to be called green onion, not spring onion. So I started calling it green onion in all my recipes, and then subsequently I found out that nobody, no actual cook on the ground actually call these green onions. They call them spring onions. So it's very, very confusing, but you know what I mean anyway. Green onion or spring onion, basically, to me. refer to these shallots, what the Americans call shallots. Everything is better deep fried. Even ice cream. Yeah, I like deep fried ice cream. It's important to close things. You don't tell me you've got that ADD thing as well. Okay, I'm just gonna deliberately leave it slightly ajar. Okay, here he comes now. Okay, so let's do this. We got the garlic, right? Minced garlic. Oh no! Oops! Oh no! Don't do that. That's the other thing that. The other thing that he does that isn't quite as cute is that he wants to tip things over, right? So he'll see like a cup of water and then he'll want to tip the cup over. And he just did that with the carrot shavings. I usually call them scallions as that's less variable. Oh, scallions, yeah, okay. That's right. Yeah, scallions is a very American term for it. To its names. People would call them scallions and shallots. Yeah. I grew up knowing them as shallots in all honesty, and then I came to Australia and they say, oh no, in Australia they're called spring onions, so yeah. But you guys know what I mean. Okay, so minced garlic, let's throw that in. So Noah likes doing that spinning thing. Anything he can get his hands on, he likes to spin. Which invariably means like kitchen stuff, you know. So I've got the hoisin sauce over here. Okay. I'm going to throw in a couple of tablespoons there. Okay. And ketchup, alright, there's a big industrial bottle of ketchup. Some lemon juice or vinegar. I've got this. I don't know how much actual lemon is in this. It's my first time buying this particular brand of lemon juice. I very rarely have like fresh lemons sitting around in my pantry. Okay. Oops. Apparently I need to snip this off. Try and take the whole thing off. New South Wales native would call the whole thing shallots. Alright, divided by a common language. Okay, I'm struggling with this thing. I need a knife. Darn. I'm just going to turn this off for the moment. The problem is that, like, usually if it's something that you can snip off, usually it would be raised, but it's actually like it's actually set in. Makes it really hard to get out. Just trying to figure out if I can pull up the hole. Okay, here we go. Lemon juice. Let's throw in the chilies, I guess, and the carrots. Carrots probably should be tossed in towards the end. Whatever. And sugar. I'll translate some of my recipes to a useful scientific name. Subspecies in cultivar. But Jackie, does filling a pot with oil work as means of, yeah, basically. Did you just use a cleaver to open? Yeah, I tried to. Okay, whoops, this is salt. That's not what I want. I want sugar. Not grab the sugar. In a Chinese household, you just need the one knife and that's a cleaver. Okay, so a fair bit of sugar goes into this, which is what makes this kind of like almost like a candied like meat dish, right? Okay. So let's taste test this. Okay. It tastes to me like it needs to be more salty. I guess soya sauce. What? Yeah, like we Asians don't grow up with all these carving knives and like whatever knives, you know. We just have like a cleaver, chef's knife and all that. I can't use a chef's knife. I've never understood like the appeal of all these different types of knives. Yeah, just get me a cleaver like this and probably slightly smaller cleaver and I'm good. Okay, let's throw this in. Toss this around. The scallions. Notice no chicken powder either this time around. I am itching to put some in. Okay, let's taste test this. Okay. It tastes almost a little bit too piquant. Okay, it needs more sugar. Needs more sugar. One knife I used much smaller, incredibly sharp knife. You had it since seeing it as a big W, right? Is it a particular brand or? I know, big W. Ingredients because they assume the cook already knew to put it in there. Need to go cook a roast for my sister. Okay, on second thoughts, it tastes to me like the beef is a little bit strong, like, you know. That's why I don't eat a lot of steak. I mean, I I do, but yeah. You know what I mean when beef tastes almost like a bit too gamey, right? It feels to me like this needs the sauce needs to be stronger flavored to drown out the gaminess of the beef. I definitely don't need any more lemon. I'm going to keep cooking this a little bit more. Steak. I like a steak with mushroom sauce. I like a Scotch steak or something like that, Scotch fillet or something like that. Oh, what the American ribeye, you know, and all that. But I probably eat it like, you know. I don't even know if I eat it like once every 6 months, in all honesty. It just feels to me like it's begging for the chicken powder. Let me just try it again. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna put it in. Is this a similar thing to Peking duck? You know, because it's got hoisin sauce in it, the flavor profile is a little bit similar, right? But Peking duck is very, very like it's an art form in itself, so I wouldn't really compare anything to it. The Peking duck is all about the skin, you know, about getting the skin just right and all that. And I've actually like researched how to make my own Peking duck, but it just seems like one of those things that are going to be just too messy to attempt at home, you know, because you need to separate the skin from the duck itself, and that involves kind of like, you know, using an air compressor to kind of like put some pressurized air into the duck, and then you fan it dry out. Like, hey, no, give mama. No. Hoisin, you were criticizing my Mongolian scholar. Yeah, I want. Well, this is one of the exceptions. All right, I did say. All right, okay. So this is one of the exceptions of like using hoisin sauce in a stir fry. All right, but this is But you know what I mean. We don't usually like say when you think about like stir fried vegetables or that sort of stuff. We don't usually use hoisin sauce in our cooking. Okay, let's dish this out. Oopsies. You okay, sweetheart? Oopsies. He just bumped his head in the corner of the table. Oopsies. Now we went boing. Okay, so there you go. So like I said, like it looks a little bit sinfully sweet, which it is. Let's try a bit more. There you go. Hey, okay, you can have that. Okay. He's a little bit more active than usual. He's like, I think like just having like attended like a full school program, kind of like preschool program, you know, over the last year. I think it's kind of like got him a little bit more hyper. And also at childcare, he has like a one dedicated like staff kind of just work with him all day, right? So he's used to one-on-one attention now. Whereas in the past, he'd be quite happy doing his own thing. Now he's very, very demanding. And that's why I'm trying to keep this short. I tried making Peking duck before, but I didn't have an air hose. Tried corn syrup and oh yeah, no. That's the thing about the Peking duck. You need the maltose. People have talked about whether they can replace it with honey and all that. No, you can't. You have to use maltose. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's why I haven't really attempted it. I was thinking like this is gonna fail so many times and fail so badly that it's gonna totally just crush me, you know. And like it kind of feels like it's the sort of thing that is gonna like mess up your work area quite badly, you know, especially like if you have to like fan dry it, right? You can imagine like having like a pseudo kind of like pseudo raw duck like being like have on full blast with a fan blowing at it like for a day or something like that, or for hours and hours or something like that. It just doesn't seem particularly like well contained in terms of of making it. It just seems like it's easier to actually just go and buy your own. But the other thing as well that people don't realize is that the roast duck that you get at Asian groceries, at Asian like barbecue duck stores, right? The roast duck is actually different from Peking duck, right? Because Peking duck, like I said, its defining characteristic is the really, really super crispy skin. But for whatever reason, like when visited America years and years ago, it's like in Australia, Peking duck is a very expensive dish, and they serve it two different ways, right? And it can cost like, you know, depending on where you go, it can cost like about $80 for a Peking duck meal, okay, just for the duck itself. And then you go to America, and it was like nothing was like $18. And thinking, how can they do Peking duck for $18? And you realize they do it completely different. It's not even, it bears no resemblance to the Peking duck that we know. So yeah, $80. I know. It's crazy, right? Australia, everything is expensive in Australia for a start. But yeah, some stuff are really super expensive. I mentioned to you guys how like my sister, she's an expatriate teacher, and she came back for like about 2 days over Christmas last year, and because she'd been like living overseas, she comes. Shush. She comes back to Sydney and she was craving lobster, right? So we went for yum cha, right? You can imagine yum cha restaurant, you eat these dumplings, but she decides she wants to order a lobster, right? So she orders a lobster for our yum cha table, and of course the restaurant, being Chinese restaurant, they'll do it. And you know how much our meal ended up costing? $1,000. Oh, it's just ridiculous. Lobster, I know. Oh, thanks for hosting, M. Harding. That's one of the most expensive of the meats. Yeah, yeah, I know. See, the thing is, because she works as an expatriate teacher, I mean, you know, like the accommodation and all that's paid for where she is. They even supply her with a maid and all that. And I don't know, I think like her wages might be tax free or something like that. I'm not too sure. But like, it's not like she gets like millions of dollars at work, but it's just by virtue of all the creature comforts that come as part of her salary package. You know, she doesn't get the chance to splurge that much. So like, I was thinking $1,000, that's like a return airfare like anywhere else, you know. Quite hate lobster. Oh no, I love hot lobster. You're not spending more than $100. Not sure how you're spending more than $100 for yum cha. See, like, when I have yum cha, just me and Noah, between the two of us, I'll spend like about $50, give or take. Because, and it's not because, well, we do eat quite a lot, but also I like a lot of variety, and I have no qualms about like ordering stuff and then having like any leftovers to take home with me, right? That way I can kind of like stretch the meal a little bit further. So it's hard when it's just you and the little baby to try and get too much variety in your meal. So I do order a lot. So yeah, so I can easily hit like $50-$60 for yum cha. But nowadays yum cha is quite expensive. Back when one of my first jobs in Australia when I was at school was working at a yum cha restaurant, and back in the day you could, you know, per head you're spending about $10-$15. Nowadays you're lucky to, you know, you won't have any change from $30 per head really. That makes sense, just for the two of you with massive variety. Yeah. The and also I'm a little bit limited with yum cha because I don't eat pork. I mean, I kind of like I play like I turn a blind eye to it to some extent because I think there's a lot of hidden pork in Chinese dim sums, right? So so if I don't know about it and I can't taste it, I'll just kind of like let it slide, right? But otherwise, you know, even of the ones that I know do contain pork, it really limits what I can eat, sort of thing. So I tend to go a little bit crazy with the ones that I can eat. Hey, little monkey. Hey, little monkey. All right. I don't know if we've got enough people for a draw for the ayam. Do we have any new people from New South Wales? There's always black bear meat. It's like See, the thing is, I don't like the flavor of pork, you know. Black bear meat. Wow, I didn't know you can buy bear meat. See, the thought of pork makes me gag, you know. So it's it's not like that. It's not that I don't eat it because of any religious obligations. I don't eat it because I hate it. Moist Minch, how you doing? New South Wales. Okay, cool. Anyone else from New South Wales? Right, Sydney. Yeah, Sydney is good. Anyone else from New South Wales? If we do, let's pull up Nightbot and do a draw. Not Nightbot. What am I talking about? No, stop it. He's trying to use his leg to kick off some of the stuff here. Okay, because I have the, like I said, the ayam. Okay, so if you're watching this anywhere else, like I said, guys, if you want to be in the draw, I'm just using an automatic picker, right? If you're watching this anywhere else, you need to actually hop over to Twitch and follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/JackieMFood, and your name will automatically be picked up by this random selector. But the caveat with the ayam sauces, Polo. I don't need it because I'm Polo. Polo like Brisbane. Oh, Brisbane's no good. It's New South Wales only, sadly. I am in New South Wales. Unless you've got any friends in New South Wales, you can gift this two of you in. Uh, normal pescatarians don't eat poultry. All right. Fellow pescatarian. Yeah, I'm probably. Look, I eat lamb. I like lamb. You know. Hang on. No, we come over here. Here we go. Here we go. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Okay, let's see. I live in Melbourne. No sauce. I know, right? Anyone from New South Wales? Do we have? Let's. What do I use again? Is it? It is Nightbot, right? Oh. Do you have any friends in New South Wales you can win this for? The last person who won it actually gave it away to someone in New South Wales. Okay, do we have anyone? Where have we got? Okay. Anyone? So it's 0 users. Reset eligibility. Okay. I think your sponsors have overestimated the locality. I know, right? I actually specified that I wanted it to be. I know. That's kind of awkward. I have a question. Do you live in Sydney? Yes, I do. What's your question? Yeah, it's kind of sad. I specified like my, you know, for doing this, I said, look, you need to be able to cover the shipping worldwide, right? And they replied back, no, they'll cover the shipping only for New South Wales, which is like, whoa, very, very limiting. Have you been to Rhodes Yum Cha? Yes, I have. At Phoenix? Yes, I have. Interesting. I know. Interesting username. What about Rhodes Phoenix? My general problem about Yum Cha in the burbs, right, is that they don't have the more exotic stuff that I like, which is why I tend to go to Chinatown, because I eat well, my favorite thing at Yum Cha is what's called ngao zha, which is basically the beef innards, right? So that's the one thing that I crave, and virtually none of the suburban ones actually have it. Apparently that's the best. You agree? No. Have you been to the 8 Yum Cha? Yes, I have. Yeah. I mean, look, it's no tribe. Yeah, I love tribe. Yeah, tribe is fairly like commonplace at most Yum Cha places. But do I agree that that's the best? No, not by a long shot. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it, but it's, to me, it's just like a regular suburban Yum Cha restaurant. One I was quite impressed with was a suburban one. Was Zilver with a Z, right, over in Bondi Junction, Westfield Bondi Junction. But again, they don't have the ngao zha that I liked. The one that I go to regularly is Marigold in the city. The barbecued chicken feet. Yeah, I like that too, yeah. So to me, Marigold, look, you know, I'm a little bit of a creature of habit, so I haven't actually explored all the other Yum Cha places for years now. You know, once I found Marigold and I was happy with the service and with the quality of food, I've just been going there for years and years. So there might be other better ones. I did go to the 8 about a couple of years ago because my friend took me there saying, oh, I know the owner, you know, the food is better and whatever. And we went there and it turned out the owner wasn't around and the staff didn't know her, so that we kind of like got pretty like average service. So she was annoyed, and like I just kind of thought that after all that hype that the food was kind of overrated. But I should probably say this live on air. But that was my one experience with the 8, because they did say, oh, the 8 is like, oh, fabulous and all that sort of stuff. So I went back to Marigold and haven't stopped. I hear that East Ocean is quite good as well in Chinatown. I haven't, like I said, I haven't been there for 20 years, 30 years, 20 years. I'm Australian. Do they speak English? Most places don't speak English. They do, and in fact, I mean, they speak broken English. In fact, a lot of the time they assume I don't speak Chinese, so I usually have to initiate the conversation in Chinese for them to realize that I do, in fact, speak their language. So yeah, a lot of the time, because I've worked at the yum cha restaurant before, right? I used to push those trolleys. Uh, a lot of the time, they somehow communicate by just showing you the dish, all right? So and of course it's not perfect. If their English isn't great, things get lost in translation. Like a lot of the time I'll ask that something's got pork in it, and they'll just say, see, the Chinese are very blasé about pork, you see. That's why I say there's a lot of hidden pork in dishes that even the trolley girls don't actually know about, right? So you say, oh, does the prawn, do those prawn dumplings have pork in it? So no, it's all prawn, and then you bite into it and you realize there's actually pork, bits of pork fat in it and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. Well, they always females pushing trolley? It's a good question, right? Yeah, the females push the trolleys and the males do the waitering. Yeah, I don't know why this is a very very strange gender role thing. What service do you wait for the trolleys to come to you? Yeah, look, it's no secret that like Chinese restaurant waiters are notorious for seeming like a little bit indifferent. All right, I know that because I'm Chinese. I can say that. Okay, so but the thing is, like, they refuse to make eye contact with you. So when you actually finally stumble on a place where they seem to actually recognize you as a regular after a while, what they do at Marigold is that like they even bring out the ngao zap for me even before I order it. Right, so they know what I want, and they know how to kind of like cater for, they know how to make me happy basically. I think it helps that the owner of Marigold has seen me in the media before as well, right? So. But in the past, when I first came to Australia, the yum cha restaurants were generally staffed by workers from Hong Kong, right? So they all spoke Cantonese. Nowadays, they're like 90% of them are staffed by people from China, and they speak Mandarin. Okay, so and that's a struggle for me because I speak Cantonese and I speak Hakka, which nobody speaks Hakka nowadays. It's a very rustic, like Chinese dialect. But Mandarin I really struggle with. So and a lot of these yum cha waiters nowadays, they don't speak Cantonese. So, like, even in my instance, I do end up speaking to them in English all the time. But, yeah. How do you spell Marigold? It's Marigold. Marigold. But yeah, look it up. It's on. I think it's called Sussex Street. I always get those streets confused in Chinatown. But it's in the. What building is it called? I forget now. It's basically across from Paddy's Market. But yeah. Noah's just eating his stuff. Yeah, Marigold. It's been there for like years and years and years. But yeah, the place that I used to work at was called Choice Inn, which no longer exists. It was upstairs, and the decor was all like very medieval. Right, and we used to wear these clothes that were very medieval as well. It's quite interesting. But back in the day, those yum cha cards. Nowadays they use a stamp and stamp like how many plates or steamer baskets you get. But back in the day, you actually have to write strokes on them. Right, so you write if it's just the one, you write across this way, 2 like this, 3, 4, 5, and ultimately it ends up if you have 5, it actually by the stroke kind of like order, you end up with the Chinese character for 5, right? So you write that sort of thing. But back in the day, at the restaurant I worked at, the manager was this Hong Kong guy, right? Kind of like middle-aged Hong Kong guy, and he had a gambling problem. And I didn't know about this. I got told by some of the other staff, right? But when he saw Westerners, right? There's this whole idea, and I know it sounds really racist. Okay, I can say this because I'm Chinese. Okay, I know it sounds really racist, but this concept among the people I worked with, the Cantonese demographic, what they call ngak goi lo, which is like to kind of like fool the white man, essentially is what it means. Okay, so what the guy used to do, like when I pushed the trolley over and I started like putting plates on these on the table, like for like say a table of white people, right? He'll say, "Oh, don't worry about filling the cart. I'll fill it in for you, all right?" And I'll say, "Okay, he's just helping me out there." And what I was told after the fact was that what he would do was that every time he wrote the strokes, he would add a couple of extra strokes on their bill. Okay, so they'd end up overpaying for their meal, and apparently he would then siphon the money towards his gambling addiction. So it's pretty sneaky. Here you go. So moral of the story is like, make sure you keep an eye on your on your card, right? Lionheart, how you doing? In the US, most of them speak Mandarin at yum cha restaurants. Yeah, see you knew the white folk had money. I know, exactly right. He knew they were gullible, right? And what's the best place for dumplings? See, I don't eat pork, and a lot of the dumplings are pork based, so that's, yeah. Everybody raves on about Din Tai Fung, but I've never eaten there because of the whole pork thing. Because yeah, so I'm like one of like 5 Chinese people on the planet who don't actually eat pork. The interesting thing I noticed as well, also in London, like like I said, the Chinatown in Australia were populated by people from Hong Kong, so they all spoke Cantonese. And then I went to the US and I went to London, and I realized everybody spoke Mandarin. And I realized that's because they come from other parts of China. All right, so there was always this. So we Asians are fairly like we're not one homogenous like whole, right? So we Asians would. The general consensus was the Cantonese knew how to cook, but the Northerners or something like that, they're just making it up as they go along. So again, the whole idea of like the bad American Chinese food is because like they were being served by Chinese from other parts of China. The Australian, yes, I am. Australia via Malaysia. And whereabouts are you? So do we have enough like New South Wales people here? All right, should we do a draw for this? Highlands, how does the Hokkien demographic work out? The Hokkiens, it's quite interesting you should ask that. The Hokkiens are known for their food in Malaysia. So when you hear about Penang food, Penang is the what's considered generally as the food capital of Malaysia. The reason Penang food is, a lot of Penang food is actually influenced by the Hokkien people there, right? So but it's quite different to Cantonese food. Cantonese food tends to be very subtle and fairly healthy, like a lot of like steaming, like you can imagine the steamed fish and all that sort of stuff. Aussie as well. Oh, cool. New South Wales or not? But I've got this to give away. I've got 10 sets of these to give away. So far I've given 1 away. All right. So across the month of October, I'm giving 10 sets of these, but this is courtesy of I Am Australia, but they can only deliver to New South Wales residents. Okay, so do we have more than one New South Wales person watching at the moment? Yeah, New South Wales, Sydney. Okay, who was the other person? Moist, and Lionheart. Okay, shall we run a draw? Okay. And Sea of Whiskey and Highlands, if you guys win, are you happy to just nominate someone else to take the prize? Yeah? All right. Okay. Let's roll it. Okay, are we ready? 50% chance. Well, I've got Highlands. I might leave Highlands and Sea of Whiskey in the draw, but let's roll it. Are we ready? Let's do it. Okay. Okay. Highlands as well. Highlands, do you have a New South Wales friend? Or do you want me to redraw? It's up to you. It's up to you. So you can you can give it away to a friend in New South Wales, or I can draw this again. Let me know what you think. I think maybe redraw. Okay, let's redraw this. Okay. Okay, roll it. Okay. Roll it. Don't know my friend's address. Okay. Nightbot has won the giveaway. Okay, let's do this again. Roll it again. Lionheart. Okay, Lionheart has won it. Okay. Okay, Lionheart, can you send me a whisper with your address, and I'll pass the information over to IAM Australia. I'm not going to give it to them in dribs and drabs, so you might have to wait a couple of weeks, maybe even till the end of October. We'll see how we go anyway. But yeah, send me your address. I know, Moise, you got shouted, you did. I've got 8 more sets of these to give away, all right? So keep an eye out for my future broadcasts. And also, again, like I've got Lenovo Mini speakers. I've got 2 more of those to give away. I've got Rode microphones. I've got 3 more Rode microphones to give away. So they'll all be staggered out. And I have 2 Ziegler and Brown barbecues worth $749 each, guys. So those are the big prizes that are coming up over the next weeks and months, all right? But the Ziegler barbecues, I'm holding off until I hit 2,000 followers. So I'm still like... I'm still about 150 short at the moment, so get your friends to follow me. All right, cool, right here. Okay, guys. Yeah, sorry, just a pretty simple broadcast today. Like I said, I didn't want to get too carried away because Noah's been really unsettled. But this is it. The recipe is already on my website. Just go and go to jackiem.com.au and look up Peking beef. All right, and you should be able to see the recipe there. Yeah, no worries. Okay, I'll let me end up talking about yum cha. Not the dirty secrets about what goes on in a yum cha restaurant. Okay, right here. Thanks, guys. So my next broadcast is Friday at 6 p.m. Sydney time, which is GMT plus 10. Don't forget, we are now in daylight saving mode here in Sydney. So go check your time zone calculator to work out what time I'm around, all right? So I'll see you Friday, 6 p.m. Thanks again, guys. Ciao.